What's up, guys? So, I got my wife Callie here with me because she is pregnant, and this is something that we wanted to talk about. Just because been having thoughts and stuff like that together. We talk about health and life. Of course, we talk about everything together. So, basically, this is just to kind of help anybody else who is also pregnant and, you know, is like wondering how much, weight I should be gaining, how should I be feeling and stuff like that. And basically just about your nutrition while you're pregnant. And it's really not that different from your nutrition when you're not pregnant, and how like you should be eating and stuff like that. Right, Callie?
Yeah. So first we're going to talk a little bit about calories per trimester. I've talked a lot with my doctor and have done a lot of research, and then it helps that Eric's a personal trainer, so he knows a lot of the nutritional stuff. Your first trimester, you really should only be gaining about 3 to 4 pounds if you start off at a healthy weight. Of course, if you're underweight, you want to be gaining a little bit more. If you start overweight, you want to be gaining a little bit less. But for the average person, it's about 3 to 4 pounds.
Yeah, and if you don't know, what overweight or underweight is, that's basically, you can look that up with like your BMI chart, which like I would say that's not a huge like hugely accurate thing to measure like how healthy you are, but it can give you a good idea of like kind of where your starting point is. So I mean that's a pretty common thing, but that's just your body mass index. If you want to go even more in depth into it, you can kind of gauge where you're at as far as like body fat and stuff like that. But if you're like, I'm probably a little bit overweight, yeah, maybe you are, unless you're like anorexic or whatever, have that kind of mentality about it. But I mean, if you're like, I feel a little heavy or whatever, you probably are. And I'm not saying that to be rude or anything. I'm just saying like that's probably gonna actually start to come off if you are starting to eat right, and you want to be healthy for your baby as well, right?
Yeah. So back to like the second trimester, they say really only like an extra snack. I remember when I first got pregnant, everyone was like, "Oh, you gotta eat for 2, and you gotta eat this double the amount." And some of my family did that.
Whether they believe that or not, it still helps them to go too far.
Yeah, a little too far. And, ultimately, like, you want to have a healthy pregnancy so then you have a healthy baby. I know for me, like, okay, I do indulge sometimes, which I think we all do. But it's important to make sure that when you do indulge that you're also eating healthy too, like maybe apples and peanut butter or yogurt and granola, adding extra things that are healthy so then your baby and your body gets the nutrition that it needs. My doctor told me that even if I don't get all the proper nutrition that I need, my baby's still gonna take from me what it needs, and you don't want different vitamin deficiencies and stuff that goes along with that, because you want to have as much energy as you possibly can, because I know during pregnancy I am like always tired. I feel like, because your body is growing a human being. But yeah, second trimester you really only need an extra snack. It's about 250 to 300 calories that you need to be adding, and third it's really only about 450 calories, so a couple snacks and a couple small meals.
So what's been the hardest part for you about like eating and health during your pregnancy?
I think for me, like, I have cravings. I'm always craving like Papa Murphy's pizza. I'm always craving chips and salsa, chips and guac. But I think it's helpful to say, okay, well, I already had Papa Murphy's like yesterday, so I probably don't need it the next 3 days.
I mean, I probably helped too. as much as I can without getting into trouble.
Because you gotta let your wife have some, or partner, or whoever's pregnant with you, have their cravings on occasion. But
yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, that one time we went and got Papa Murphy's, and I was like, okay, because that's like, she just started craving it, and I was like, okay, let's do it. And then like you craved it like the next day or something like that.
Yes.
I was like, that's a little over the top.
But I didn't have it the next day.
I mean, at least you're reasonable about it, right?
Yeah. I think I just supplemented a lot of healthy stuff. Sorry, our dogs are
like
falling everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I do indulge in my cravings, but it's also, I mix it a lot with healthy snacks and healthy food and making sure I'm getting my whole fruits and whole vegetables and just as, what would the word be? Just as natural as I can get it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not crazy, like,
It's
everything has to be organic and homemade and all that stuff, but...
For lack of a better word, I mean, because that's not exactly what you do.
Yeah, just fresh produce as much as you can and stuff like that.
Have you, like, had troubles with your, like, body image?
Not yet.
That's a lie.
Okay, a couple times.
I know you have because you told me.
So, I mean, I've had a couple moments where I felt like really down about my body because I'm used to having abs and used to seeing like flat tummy and nothing there. And now everything's getting bigger and it's like, I was at that weird stage where it's like, I don't look pregnant, I just look like bloated and more chubby than I usually do.
Yeah.
And so that was hard trying to get over that little stumbling block. But, once I did, I'm like, my body's gonna grow. It should grow.
Well, that's what I told you, too.
That's what my husband told me.
I know, it's not all because of me, but... it helps to know, I bet, that you have, like, that it's actually supposed to happen and that you know how much weight you're supposed to gain and about, a range of how much weight you're supposed to gain. Because you are a smaller person, you're probably going to gain a little bit less and everything, but at least so that you're not like, well, I'm just growing because I'm getting fat or whatever. But you're actually growing something inside you, and you need to have that healthy weight, and a little bit more body fat. Like that's totally normal.
Yeah, and if you ever have any questions about how much you should be gaining and if you're on the right track, it's totally okay to talk to your doctor. That's why you have those appointments, is to make sure that you're on track where you need to be. And that your baby's growing as healthy as he or she can grow.
But it's interesting, the doctor doesn't follow up with you about your diet that much. I mean, she doesn't keep you accountable, at least our doctor. I mean, I don't know, every doctor's a little different probably, but, they're just there to tell you, what you need and basically, what to do, but they're not really there to follow up and say, like, well, have you been eating right or not, because, you'll probably know if you're not eating right. I mean, you'd probably be a lot more tired now if you were not eating the right nutrients and stuff like that.
Well, and I'd be gaining a lot more weight as well, and I've been very on track. I think my doctor just knows that we typically eat a little healthier, so she's not too worried about it, but some doctors, if you are a little more overweight, they will hopefully at least be open and honest with you, because that's what you want in a doctor, is someone that's open and honest.
Right. I know, and there's probably a little bit of a controversy with this, but like, what would you say to the people who like do gain too much during their pregnancy, or like, a lot, not necessarily those people, I guess I would say, but more so like when people... Oh man, I lost it.
You'll think of it.
I'll think of it. It's like when people are like upset.
Gaining weight too rapidly, or?
No, it's like I bet people are like a little bit, maybe they're not as outspoken about it, but they maybe be not so happy that some people seem to not gain very much weight, or just have a cute round tummy and not like, blow up like a balloon, and then maybe their pregnancy or pregnancies they did,
Yeah.
and whether it was because of their diet choices or not, obviously some people are going to look different when they're pregnant and stuff like that. But like, what would you say to people that were like, well, you're just, you're just the way that you are. It's not based on, your diet or anything like
Yeah.
that.
I think my main thing is like, we all are going to look different pregnant.
Yeah.
Some are going to be round and cute and just carry everything. Some aren't even going to really show for a long time, and some are going to show weight early on. The thing is one, like, do not try to like start this diet plan while you're pregnant and try to change everything all at once. Like most people, when they're not pregnant and they want to lose weight, they go on a diet, they start working out pretty hardcore, and then you want to do things slowly. So, if you're gaining weight a little too rapidly, just cut back on a couple things. Maybe add a little bit more exercise into your routine. But do things slowly. Like, listen to your body. Listen to how you're feeling, what's going on with your body. But, the ultimate goal is to have a healthy baby. That's bottom line. If you gain a little too much weight, you can always just try to lose it afterwards. The most important thing is to have our babies come out healthy. And so just do little things at a time. Like, okay, when we were first married, we did not eat super healthy. I mean, we were having Totino's pizza rolls every single night, guys. It was insane.
Yeah.
But we changed things a little bit at a time, and now most of our meals are home cooked. Most of our produce is all just fresh produce. We don't have a lot of things in the freezer besides frozen chicken breasts.
And we have the occasional pizza, or a hamburger or whatever, like,
or corn dogs.
Yeah, and even, I would say it's probably like once a week we have a meal that's like iffy. You know?
That's true. Like tonight we just had chili mac. I mean, but
You're not supposed to tell them that. I'm just kidding.
But it's important just to have a healthy baby, and I try to do everything I possibly can, or at least think about on it.
I think that's the key. I think that's the key point right there. Is if you're not doing everything that you possibly can, I feel like that's where that internal guilt and kind of like shame comes from, and then like you feel like other people are judging you when in fact they're not most of the time. Some people are, but screw them.
Who cares?
Yeah. But, that's just the nature of random people, People who care about you probably aren't judging you quite as hard, or at all, Definitely, like, when I see, like, a pregnant person in the gym or, like, a heavy person in the gym, I think that that's super great, because whether they're pregnant or not or whatever, like, I think that people should be in the gym in general, or like doing exercise, and if they're working on themselves, then they're gonna have some progress, and depending on how long that they do it or whatever. But I think that you mentioned the key thing though is just like you're trying the best that you can to focus on that, because that's a thing that's going to be part of your life and part of your kids' lives, more importantly, that hopefully it never changes, because it's never going to go away. The need to keep yourself healthy is never going to go away. And working on yourself, that's always going to be there, and hopefully it's not always going to be in the back of your mind and a thing that you should do or that you feel like, guilty for not doing. So definitely, when you throw kids into the mix, it's like now everything's a little bit more important, right? But that's what I want for our kids for sure, and I want them to be happy and healthy and to have, you know, to not have to be like an obese child or an overweight 14-year-old. I mean, that's not a good life. I want to pass down kind of what like my family did for me, and your family didn't necessarily teach you that.
No. But
Which is interesting.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is you can always start where you are. You can always do little things on a daily basis to have either a healthy life or a healthy pregnancy or just to be a little bit more healthy every single day.
Yeah, healthy mindset first.
Oh yeah, you got to start with your mental state a lot.
Well, and all of this sounds simple, and it's like eat the right amount of calories, eat whole foods.
Eat the right proportions.
On the outset, yeah, it's pretty simple, but actually doing it is a whole nother story, and that's why it takes two, at least two, maybe more, But I find that with my mindset, like, Callie's a huge part of that. And, she uplifts me and I uplift her, and we try to focus on the good things and the positive and a positive future, and so basically we're going to be talking about that a lot more, is just how our relationship plays a part in our health and in our mindset, and how you can basically kind of learn some of the things that we learned the hard way, and maybe not have to go through that. That's basically where I'm coming from with all of this. So to have my wife involved and to be, helping people who are in the same situation as us, or people who are about to be in the same situation as us, that's going to be where we're going. So
So stay tuned in the future weeks for other things that we're going to talk about. We'll talk a lot about marriage and communication and different things like that.
It's just going to be our thoughts and our opinions. So,
which may not always be right.
Yeah, sure. And if they don't align with yours, you can tell us. And if we miss something, like talking about a certain part of it, then, well,
feel free to share with us.
Yeah, we'll try to address it. But, this is just kind of our sharing platform, and we're just going to go with it. And it's just going to be our thoughts, so take them or leave them, right? All right, guys. Well,
we love you guys.
And we'll see you next week.